Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer. Sounding like a frog today, but this is Wasteland Watchlist, my weekly show where my guest and I randomly select a film from my obscenely large, random, ridiculous watch list. And, you know, joining me to talk about one very horny, very strange, and can't believe this got made in 1930 film, it is Luke.
Hello, nice to be back.
You couldn't help but laugh by that introduction to this film, Madam Satan.
Correct, it is Madam Satan. One of the reasons we got a haze code, I guess.
Probably.
Hmm.
Um, and this film was released September 30th, 1930, runtime of 116 minutes, directed by Cecil B. DeMille, which was probably the weirdest thing about
Hmm.
that. Starring Kay Johnson, Reginald Denny, Lillian Roth, and Roland Young. Mostly black and white, but has some multicolor sequences on the Zeppelin, but the only versions still left available are the fully black and white one.
Yes,
This is considered one of the oddest films in both DeMille and MGM's filmography.
hard to agree.
Wonder
I haven't seen
why.
them all. Haven't seen them all, but hard to agree. Yes.
Hollywood censor Jason Joy, such an interesting name for somebody wanting to censor people,
Yeah.
worked closely with DeMille to clean up the film. Apparently, there was full-blown nudity during the Zeppelin sequence.
Apparently there was also Lillian. I think Lillian was in like a sheer nightgown for one scene, and I'm like, so this movie was even hornier. Okay, cool. Release that horny cut. Okay, hashtag release the horny cut.
Hashtag released the horny cut of Madam Satan. This
Hmm.
film lost $390,000.
This is why, because they edited it. Okay, like
Yep.
I'm just gonna say,
All those repressed people in 1930 would have went to go see this movie.
yeah, everybody
Um,
back on in the internet back in the day is like, oh, cancel, boycott.
Angela and Bob Brooks are an upper class couple. Unfortunately, Bob is an unfaithful husband, but Angela has a plan to win back her husband's affection. Wow, what a plan.
Hmm.
So basically this film is a tale of two halves. We have a shenanigans filled screwball comedy probably for like
Hmm.
the first hour of this.
Hmm.
And then we have this wild, crazy orgy type party on a Zeppelin that crashes and has a insane action sequence in the second half of this film. This movie is unhinged, but what are your general thoughts on Madam Satan?
Unhinged is correct. I I thought this movie was fine because for me the biggest problem is the craziness and the like banter and all that things that's trying to go for in the first hour. Many times it didn't click. Like, there's like a pace to like most of those jokes and most of those settings where if it clicks, it's beautiful. It
Yeah,
works. Like, it can be silly. You can be silly with the movie, great. But there was something very off about this movie. I think that's the musical sequences, which this was apparently Cecil D. Mills' only musical, so can't blame him. But yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff we can talk about. But what about you, Shane? What did you think?
I think this film had a lot of potential. Release a horny
Hmm.
cut. Um, I think that first hour goes way too long because like it's a screwball comedy. This got to be snappy, and
Yep.
we dragged our feet for an hour. And
Hmm.
yes, you probably could have cut out all the musical sequences, and I feel like that penthouse sequence of shenanigans lasted 2 times as long as it probably should have.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
like this felt elongated and Cecil B. DeMille's, but like I'm contractually obligated to make every film at least an hour and 50 minutes. And it's just like this movie didn't need to be an hour and 50 minutes. I think if they tightened up that first half,
Hmm.
made it snappier, and that's the thing, like it has the hallmarks of like the fun, kooky, just screwball comedy shenanigans with the whole Angela showing up at Trix at Bob's penthouse and finding Trixie there, and the pal Jimmy, and there's just so many moving pieces here. And then the I don't know how I felt. Like once they showed up at that Zeppelin, and I'm just like, they're having a party on a Zeppelin? And then when the Zeppelin crashes, and I'm like, oh, this is a Cecil B. DeMille film. Because
Hmm.
not gonna lie, that was really impressive. Like from a filmmaking standpoint, the special effects and everything of that whole sequence. But I'm like, this was a screwball comedy. Like, what the hell is going on? Can you imagine?
Yep.
Just imagine. Keep forgetting the name of it. That Sydney Sweeney, Glenn Powell. Uh,
I was literally just thinking about this movie, like, if it's
Imagine if
yeah,
anyone but you was it.
Animal Review, yes.
Just imagine the third act of anyone but you is have a giant crash, like crazy over the top action sequence out of nowhere. And
Like
I'm
on an
just like,
airplane, like a
yeah.
non-stop style, like airplane. Suddenly we turn into non-stop, and Liam Neeson is there, and like, what? How did that become this? Yes.
Well, and that's exactly how this movie feels.
Yeah.
It's just like, what is going on here?
No, like yeah, 100% agree. So the screwball part, the first hour, like there were moments here and there, like, oh yeah, this is funny. Okay, cool. I can kind of vibe with this. And then we go on the Zeppelin, and I'm like, oh yeah, Zeppelins used to be a thing. I wonder what happened with that. And then the movie shows you exactly why they're no longer a thing, even before the infamous. I think this must have been before the infamous crash.
Hindenburg.
Yeah, yeah, Hindenburg. I was gonna call it Nuremberg. I'm like, no, it's not Nuremberg. It's yeah, Hindenburg. So this must have been just before that because I think otherwise this is a very odd choice.
7 years before the
Yeah,
Hindenburg
yeah.
disaster.
But so
Zeppelins were so in back then still.
very, especially again, if you're upper class, Shane, obviously you don't want to have your party orgy thing down at the ground with the poor, with poors and plebs of the world. You want to be up in the sky, having a good time, right? So, like, before we go into some negatives, which there are quite a few, like, I will compliment costumes because, especially at the party, like, what
Yeah.
Lillian Roth and the other actress is wearing, like, the costumes are great. I thought their performances, like Lillian Roth, like, she was stunning. Like,
Yeah.
and then you'd learn what has happened with her and to her, and then you're like, holy fucking shit, that is very sad.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh, Costumes. The direction, as you mentioned, like the scenes when the Zeppelin starts to crash down, quite cool. Like, yeah, can you tell this was a miniature here and there? Sure, but for the time, pretty cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie. The parachute sequences, is this really how parachutes worked at the Zeppelins? Like, you basically had to have like this, I guess. Yeah, but also, like, what happens if they didn't open? Because, like, it is like, but what if it gets tangled up and doesn't fully open? You're pretty fucked. I guess that's why they don't make parachutes like this anymore.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like, I think like there is a bits and pieces to this movie where it kind of works, oh yeah, and this is my biggest point. I agree with the movie's message. Because on my other show before it became Flexential Part 2 with Shane here, I talked to this sex therapist. And she said, like, what the movie is trying to say, the many times marriages and husband and wife they almost friend zone each other, even though this wasn't a part of that. So they need to reignite the passion and see each other as a object of desire. So I agree with the message of the movie. I don't agree with how the movie is doing it because it's
Yeah.
it's one of those. Hey, the husband's cheating left, right, and center. So obviously it's the wife's fault. So she needs to do something about it, and she needs to make him understand that she can also be sexy and hot. And it's like, oh, cool.
It's misogynistic. Like
Yeah.
this is like so 1930s.
Mm-hmm.
Like yes, it's the wife's fault. But no, that Madam Satan costume, sexy.
Yep.
Lillian Roth,
Mm-hmm.
sexy, charming. funny. I
Yep.
thought she was like the most electric part. Speaking of
Hun-
electricity, that wild dance and music number, I'm like, what is going on here?
Yep.
That's like this whole film could have been tighter and shorter. Like, did we need to have all that nonsense on the Zeppelin too? The parachute sequence at the end. Which one? Bob like jumping off the Zeppelin as it was like getting this close to the ground. I'm like,
He
he
dead.
probably would have broke every bone in his body hitting that water, but whatever.
Exactly. He dead.
Jimmy landing above a lion den at
Of
the
course.
zoo. I'm like, was this movie just mean to Jimmy? I feel like Jimmy like was just the butt of all the jokes and
Yes, because he's short.
humiliating him.
Because he was shorter than our main guy, okay? So of course we make fun of short people, Shane. Yes.
And then Trixie landing in that
Was
barracks full of men,
was it like a massage parlor for men
something like
only?
that.
I'm like, what the fuck is
Trixie was
this?
gonna have some fun.
I was gonna say like her night, like yeah. So this, Jimmy lands in the lion's cage, and then Trixie is like, "Hey, five men, oh, let's go."
It was more like 15. She was gonna have a ball. And what really bothered me is at the very end, where Bob is chastising over the costume. I'm
hmm
like, you stupid son of a bitch. And that just reinforces how misogynistic this movie is. And Angela's just like, just like, come on. So this movie had potential, but I think this being created by Cecil B. DeMille in 1930, there was no way that this was going to be progressive in any way, shape, or form.
hmm
And it was way too long,
hmm
and this could have been way tighter. And it takes some big swings for sure.
And I appreciate it. That's like to piggyback on that. I appreciate when a movie takes some swings. Like I
It's
appreciated, like like Cecil B. DeMille was trying to think outside of the box and like set the second half of the movie on a this Zeppelin. Cool. Like I genuinely do appreciate it. But it's just such a like I feel like that's almost a victim of being too early in a cinema to understand like how sometimes you swing so far, like then it's you have a your audience will have a whiplash. I really wonder, like not because I'm a horny bastard, even though like, never mind. But I really wonder like how much they've cut and how those scenes like
this
would
must have
impact
been
impact the story. Like if there
yeah,
was just, oh yeah, hell, hey, have a nudity and have a her in the sheer gown because reasons, or if they actually were impactful to the story. Apparently, there was a cut also where people were sick and tired of musicals, where they cut out all the musical numbers. So
should have.
that cut existed actually, and when shown on a couple of places, you know, I don't think it's actually someplace stored where you can view it. But apparently, I read on IMDb that studios try to cut out all the and release it again just to see if people would like it better. So like, I just ultimately I'm left wondering the ultimate cut, like where like all the Cecil B. DeMille stuff is left untouched, how that movie would play, because what we have now, it plays as very too. Hey, this is a beginning of an interesting screwball comedy if you manage to hit the landing, and the second part is like we jumped into a different movie where like suddenly it's eyes wide shut type of orgies, but like it's 1930s, so we cannot really be that risque. So it doesn't really gel.
It's I just looked. This is written by three women, which
Feminism.
it
Hashtag feminism.
it does feel like it's written by multiple different people, to be fair.
hmm
I'm a little shocked this was written by a woman, but it is 1930,
I
so
am
I
not.
think either way,
I'm actually not. You know why? Because like the movie at the end, like when they are like going back and forth, right? Like I think the movie is trying to kind of redeem him. Like when Angela points out, well, if you saw the dress on any other woman, you would find it lovely, you would find it exciting, and he kind of realizes she's right. So like I think he can tell That's the attitude. Like, like they are almost trying to redeem him. And this is what I said. I agree with what the movie is trying to say. I don't
Yeah.
agree with exact. This is one of the scenes. I don't agree how they were going about it.
At the end of the day, I don't know why she wanted him so badly. And honestly, she should have just found her a better man. Let the, let that guy go go be with Trixie, whatever. But like
I
I
guess,
understand like it was a different time where it's
yeah.
just like it was about uh preserving your marriage and stuff like that. But
I guess they because of the Zeppelin thing, because like he actually found a parachute for her, for his wife and Trixie. Like he didn't choose he didn't choose either or. He found for both, and I guess she found it very touching.
okay.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay.
Hmm.
But Luke, do you have any other thoughts on Madam Satan?
I think it's still kind of worth watching just for the costume, like the production alone is pretty cool to see, and the costumes they are like if this movie was better known, this would have been iconic. Like those costumes, especially those what they are wearing, like what Lilith and the main star of this, I cannot remember her name. I'm sorry.
A. Johnson.
Yes, Kate Johnson. But like I think if the movie was better known, they would have become like iconic. Like I'm talking like Breakfast at Tiffany's kind of iconic, or like My Fair Lady iconic. If this movie was better known and better received. But yeah, like ultimately, watch it if you're a big Cecil Mill fan, but don't expect too much.
I think this has a future if it caught on in a cult classic
Hmm.
kind of
Hmm.
way for like very specific niche culture for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm not sad that I watched it,
No,
honestly. I think it is crazy and bold enough for you to be like, if you want to, expand your horizons and watch some old cinema, I'm like, they did some crazy stuff back then. So give it a
they
try.
sure did. They sure did.
Luke, thank you as always for coming on and chatting movies with me.
Anytime. Thank you so much for having me, Shane.
And thank all of you for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What is your favorite crazy screwball comedy from early days of cinema? Make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. So many great shows with all different types of interests, especially movies. We have plenty of that. If you want to join the crew, either as a guest on a show just like this one, or if you have an idea for a podcast and want to have a place to grow, make sure to reach out to us on our website. And if you like our logo, check out High Flyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.